Hey all, Board Game Rants here. We'll find everything solo, tabletop gaming, and more. I'm back, got my voice back. Time for the MVPs. December 2018, long overdue. All right, so I hope the holidays treated you well. Hope you got some games. Hope you played a lot of games. Hope you had people, friends, family over and played more games. But does it kind of get in the way of solo gaming? A little bit, but you know, I still manage.
Hey all, Board Game Rants here, where you'll find everything solo, tabletop, gaming, and more.
Voice is back, almost feeling 100%. Let's get to it. December 2018, I played 56 games, over 15 different games, and a lot of them were multiplayer. So going over those real quick, you know, and actually I'm just going to touch on everything. I forget, I play Pinochle every week. And with my grandmother, who's in her 90s and still sharp as a tack, and you know, among other people. But great, just a great little card game that I don't know if is anybody into card games here, along with board games. So played 3 games of that. Then played Uno, of course. It's funny, my kids brought up. They showed me that you played 0s and 7s, or I don't know exactly what you call it, but if you play a 7, you get to switch your hand with somebody. And so like someone's got way fewer cards than you, or if you played a 0, you then everybody rotates their hands whichever way the direction of the game is going. You rotate your hand. It was kind of cool, and it really added. I don't know, it's a little chaotic. It added a lot of fun to the game. So anyway, Uno, got a couple games of that in. Played the Mind. That's another regular. Played 3 games of that. Talked lots about that before. Played Shadowrun Crossfire for the first time in a long time, and it's a card game. It is kind of a deck builder, but you know, you really don't get a big deck. You start off with a handful of cards, and then you buy some cards, and you're trying to get through these obstacles. And on its basic, when you're playing the Crossfire mission, you're just trying to get through 3 rounds of obstacles, if you will. It gets tougher each time, and it's a blisteringly difficult game. And I've actually started playing that again here in January, and I'll talk probably more about that later. But great game, Shadowrun Crossfire. I only got 1 game in. I played Trip Block. Actually went to a tavern there with my wife and just busted that out. Played a quick game. That was fun. New game I've never played, Sagrada, and with some friends, and it's fun. Like kind of a dice game, beautiful looking game, and it has some cool little features that will change the game every time you play it, because you put out cards that sort of adjust things that you can kind of break the rules with, which is cool. Has a solo variant to it, but I've never played it. I'll probably end up borrowing it from these friends and giving it a try. But just played that once. Keyforge, played Keyforge. Something Anachron, a very popular game, Board Game Geek. Reminds me of, I played a lot of World of Warcraft, the CTG, I think, or I think it was. Anyway, and I was never very good at it. I got my ass kicked at that a lot. Most often, it's like, oh yeah, I must have an underpowered deck. Let's switch. You know, I lost. Let's switch decks. I'll play yours, and I'd still lose. So I was just never good at that. But played game in Keyforge. And it reminded me of that, and a lot of fun. And I wouldn't mind playing that some more, but it's a buddy of mine's, and I don't have it. So let's see, what else did I play? Australia. That was my MVP of the month before. Got 3 games of that in. Talked a lot about that previously. Last month, Sprolopolis. It's just too easy to just. I only played it once, but you know, it's just sometimes I'll toss it in my pocket if I feel like I'm going to be somewhere and maybe have 10 minutes. In a little room, you can just bust it out, and I did, and I don't remember what the circumstance was, but I love Sprolopolis. Renegade, just a fantastic game. Played that a couple times. Now, on to, well, you know, and some other things that took up a ton of my time. I don't know if anybody plays video games. I played video games, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Finished it. Actually, I think I finished it this month in January, but well over 100 hours between my wife and I. That takes a lot of gaming, but that's just we love it. Now we're getting into Red Dead Redemption 2. So anyway, games. Wendake. So I picked up this game. It was on a great sale. Played it 7 times, and it is okay. It's got a good solo variant. I think it was pretty thoughtful, pretty well thought out, and you know, not the wasn't wowed by it necessarily. I played it 7 times. I tried to get to 10 times. I like to get to 10 games, but I just couldn't quite get there. It just wasn't. I was being pulled to play other games and that I felt were better. And it might just be a matter of taste. I'm sure it is actually. Wendake, it's fairly light. The decisions are there's lots of decisions, but they're all very short-sighted. It's just kind of like, and you have to kind of balance everything. And I guess I'm not too into games where you have to, like, there's two sets of scoring rows. So there's 4 rows, and there's a set of 2 here and a set of rows, and you're gonna keep track, almost like Through the Ages, or reminds me as you move these along the tracks. And but at the end of the game, you only score where you're lowest on. So if you're on this row, these 2 rows, and you're way back on this one, you're only going to score the lowest one. And on the other set of rows, you're only going to score where you scored lowest. So it makes you balance out. You have to you can't specialize in anything. And I'm not really that into game. I'm always kind of a little bit like, ooh, that sounds great. And then I play them, and then I'm like, it doesn't, there's no direction. It feels directionless, because you're just always like, okay, now I'm a little bit further down on that one. And so the cool aspect of it is the actions that you get to take, you get to change that every round, and you get to slide in new actions. And the action selection mechanism is pretty nifty in that it's constantly changing and rotating, and you have to take actions in a certain row or column, or even a diagonal. It's this grid, like a tic-tac-toe grid, and that's where you take your actions, and those actions on that tic-tac-toe grid change all the time. You can kind of upgrade them so that with one action you can do a set of different things. And so you just got to make sure that you're touching all the bases, so you score well on all the tracks. And like I said, it's just sort of like, ooh, I'm getting low on this one. I better take actions or find actions to do that and ratchet up there. Nope, now I'm getting low on this. And it's just, I don't know, it lacks the depth that I enjoy in a game. So I just couldn't really get into it. That was Wendake. Dice Settlers. So Dice Settlers, played that. And that's by David Turtzi. Turzi, I don't know. Anyway, he both designed that and did the solo variant. David T is designing solo variants that are becoming, I think, a standard. And where right up there with the Automa, which is a deck which was first represented in Viticulture and then in Scythe, and now it's showing up in all sorts of games, Gaia Project and up and coming Wingspan and all these different games. And it's sort of a system of cards and that controls an AI player when you're playing solo, or sometimes you can use it when you're playing multiplayer. David Zerke, oh man. Anyway, he did Anachrony, as well as Dice Settlers, as well as I'll get to it. But Dice Settlers it's kind of a light 4X game, a lot of dice rolling, sort of a dice bag building mechanic, and which is cool. But I don't know. It's just, again, it wasn't heavy enough for my tastes. But I just love his designs. There's just so much to be respected there, and the designs he come up with are different, because each game is different, and so. And then the designs themselves they all kind of wrap around, it seems, rolling some dice and allowing you, the solo player, to gauge what the AI opponent might do, which is cool. Instead of just sort of a random, a lot of games are just sort of a random, you flip over a card, oh, I can't take that action because that got blocked. Oh, it stole those resources. Oh, it just does random stuff to sort of impede your ability to score high in a solo game or whatever. Whereas these variants that are found in Dice Settlers and one of my favorites, Anachrony, it allows you to sort of plan. You can sort of reasonably guess what your opponent's going to do, which is just very much like you're playing 2-player, and you're kind of reasonably guessing, like, oh, I better take this action. It's not exactly what I want to do, but I know it's likely going to get blocked. Not just randomly blocked, but likely. And this action, I don't need to worry about it, because he could take it if he rolls a 12, with 2 dice, 2d6, and rolls a 12, pretty unlikely. But one of those actions is going to trigger if he rolls a 6, 7, 8. I'm actually talking about a different game, but Dice Settlers has a system to it that allows you to sort of reasonably guess what the AI is going to do. And that is just wickedly awesome for solo variant players like myself, for solo gamers. And I played Dice Sailor 7 times, Wendake 7 times, did I say that? So got some good solid plays in on those, but they're two of the newer games that I got that just didn't quite get a foothold in for my style of play, but both good games. Now then, time for the surprise. So first of all, I played a game that I was given for Christmas, and I'm usually not, I try to get into these games. You play with a big group, and nobody really knows who's who, and you're trying to figure it out, and whoever kind of figures it out, that group wins. And they're fun, but I don't play them all that often. And they just lack kind of something to them that really keeps me wanting to come back for more for them. And so I got this game called Secret Hitler. And if you've never heard, I mean, it sounds a little, it just sounds a little, I could turn some people off, just the name of the game. But it's all in can you say it's in good fun? Fantastic. I played it twice. And it was, the thing I really remember about it is, because yes, you're all trying to play these roles, and there's the fascists and the liberalists, and then there's Hitler. And of course, you're trying to assassinate Hitler, more or less. And you're playing this game, and the very first game, my wife was Hitler. And she you can lie, you can do all this stuff, but she didn't even lie. She played the game perfectly. And I remember I thought for sure I was one of the good guys, and I was assassinating people thinking I had it. And because you assassinate, they have to say they're Hitler, and I was like, "You're dead," and they're like, not Hitler. I was like, "What?" And at the end of the game, my wife's like, "I was Hitler." Kind of crushed my soul a little bit. I was just like, "What? I trusted you." It was a great experience. And so any game that kind of gives that to it's just, I was completely stunned. And then a friend of mine who gave me the game, he played it remarkably well. He'd played it before. My wife had never played it before, and played it like superstar. So anyway, Secret Hitler, it was a good surprise. I'm usually not too into those games, but this one really caught me off guard, and it was fantastic. I got a couple plays in that. Certainly plan on playing that one some more. And the biggest disappointment, I played Dinosaur Island. That was another new one. I played it 7 times. But I also got, and it was good, I like Dinosaur Island. It has a solo variant, but it's kind of just sort of a beat your own high score, not much to it. But I also got, I saw on Board Game Geek, I saw this video that went over the expansion that had just came out. And it had a variant where there's an AI to it. And it looked like a pretty cool little system. So I picked up the expansion as well. Here comes the disappointing part. That expansion did not have any of the stuff that was in the video on Board Game Geek. I think it was one of the designers that was showing how the solo variant worked with the expansion. You pick up the expansion, it's not in there. The cards that were used are not in there. Looking through, there was quite a bit of little bit of outrage on, and I think reasonably so. It was just, you buy the game and it says right on the box that it's got included solo stuff. It's not there. And so I've since then I think I emailed Pandasaurus Games, and they said that they'll be putting out a PDF and stuff. But that was just, I got that so that I could play that variant, and with all the extra goodies and stuff with it, which you can be added to the multiplayer, but that's not why I got it. I got it for that solo variant. The base game came with sort of a beat your own high score, which is so for me. The expansion was going to juice up the game with more cool dinosaurs, and now you got to build your park in a certain way and all these cool things. But I got it for the expansion for the solo variant, and it was not there. And that was, I felt it was misleading. So I felt a little duped. Pandasaurus Games is on my shit list right now. I'm not going to blindly buy any games produced by those guys anymore. So anyway, now let's get to the good stuff, shall we? The MVP, the most voraciously played game of December 2018. Teotihuacan, City of Gods. I talked a little bit about, I played it 16 times in December. I played it 4 times the month before, November. And on that MVP list, I had brought up that I was kind of a little so-so on it. that it was just mind-boggling. And I was explaining to people, don't, try to learn that game and the solo variant at the same time, because the solo variant is complicated, really, as the game itself. I would suggest you learn the game of Teotihuacan multiplayer and then get into the solo variant, because then it'll start to make sense faster, rather than, I think a lot of people, if you just get the game just to play solo, you're going to play a few games and just be like, that's too much. Because I was almost there, and you can actually see that in the video, my last video there for December. Games that I played in November. This game, once I got to kind of 5+ mark and it started clicking and I started not having to look at the rules every single time, it started taking on this life of, this mess and this nightmare that I was trying to survive as I was learning this game and its mechanics and all that. You're just moving dice around and it looks kind of abstract, and you've got so many different ways to get different resources, and then go over here and use those resources to get you points to, maybe you're going to build the temple. But then you got to remember, when you build this, you get to go up on this track, and you go up on this track, and then you got to level up your guy, and then there's all these different little knick-knacky things you got to remember that, if you miss anything, then it really, you could probably score a lot better if you're missing stuff, like not moving up on the temple, because the temple track at the end of that first eclipse, and there's 3 rounds or eclipses, could score you big points. And if you're not ratcheting it up, you could miss out on 8 points easily. And there's just so many things to keep track of on top of the solo variant. Now, the solo variant is just difficult to wrap your head around. And you're checking that book over and over again. It's okay, you roll the dice to figure out what the Teotibot is going to do. And then you just got to kind of, you're looking at these little tiles, and thank goodness they are tiles and not cards, because if they were cards, it would be so ultra fiddly, and I'm trying to get my fingernails under there, I would have given up on this game. But they're nice thick tiles that you kind of shift around. They come in this little pyramid form, and you got to kind of shift them all around. Those determine what actions, along with rolling the dice, that Teotibot does. And then and you got to know what those symbols mean, and then you got to kind of know this is what you do first. If you can't do that, this is what you do second. If you can't do that, this is what you do third. They're all kind of built that way. And it can just, and then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different sets of actions that can occur. It is insane, on top of what you're already just trying to keep track of for your play. Now, some of the greatest things about this are it totally puts everything in the game. So many games you play a solo variant, you don't get the whole experience of the game. This one, you get everything. Everything that the game has to offer, you get to enjoy as a solo variant. Nothing watered down here. But it is a little at the expense of your sanity as you try to learn such a complex solo variant. But once you get that solo variant down, it is poetry in motion. It turns from a nightmare to one of the sweetest, dreamiest solo variants that I've experienced. And it really is that good. And like I said, 16 plays this in December. So I played it, and I've even got a few plays in already here in January. So I'm in the 20+ arena. This game just keeps me coming back for more, because now that I've got it down so well, and it just flows. So now, you're just back and forth, and I can play this game in a good about an hour. And it's just, there's almost something so satisfying about being able to know just what to do with such a complex solo variant, as you're moving around all the tiles, and okay, rolling, and you get to guess too. And I alluded to this earlier. You kind of guess what Teotibot's going to do, and it affects what I'm going to do. So long story short, you can play off of the Teotibot once you start to know what it may or may not do. Now, it's going to surprise you. Sometimes you're going to roll a 3, and it's going to do an action that you just didn't expect it to do. It has a range, like if you roll 6, 7, or 8 with these 2 dice, which is very, very likely, it's going to do an action. You can almost plan on it, but you can't, because you can still roll something else and take a different action. But because you can reasonably guess, that makes it just takes it on this whole other echelon, this whole level of solo gaming that most variants just never attain. This game does it in spades. That solo variant design is among the very best to tackle a complex, fairly complex game. Not super, super complex, but in Teotihuacan, it embodies everything that a second player, if you were playing against them, it's right there. And you just have to know the system. And you got to know, when I roll this, oh, it can take that. Does it have 2 gold? Yep, it has to take 2 gold. Okay, now it's going to do this. It's got to put that there. Oops, it's going to move up on this track. Oh, okay. Now if it moves up on the track, I got to move it up on the temple. Okay, boom. Now I got to level up level up that die. Okay, it's a 3. I just move it 1. Oh, it's a 4. I got to move it 2 spaces. Oh, I got to skip space number 1. So it actually moves 3 spaces. You got to, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And until you get it down, it's messy. But once you get it down, it just, like I said, the game sings. That's it. That was not quick at all. I was hoping this would be way faster, and I blew it. So I got some more work to do as I try to crank out some more material this month. And until then, please leave me any questions or comments on anything there. I know I didn't describe Teotihuacan, but there's I did some videos on it as far as, you know, how to play the solo variant, and even a playthrough of the solo variant. I've done so on some of these other games too, and you'll find some links somewhere on the video here, I imagine, and in the notes below. And questions or the comments, please let me know. Gosh, I think I'm starting to lose my voice again here. And until next time, I always appreciate you guys. Thank you for hanging in there. Thank you for your patience as I tried to get to this. Look forward to that best of 2018 coming up. And it's going to be a little different format, though. Ain't going to be no top 10 thingy. I guarantee you that. And until next time, I'm Board Game Rants. Thanks for watching. I'm out.